When you reflect on what was happening 1 year ago this week, it was, we were dealing with the fallout from Hurricane Helene. Helene sweeping through the southeast, bringing heavy rain, strong winds, and also several tornadoes into the Carolinas. Its aftermath is what left communities across the Carolinas forced to rebuild. Communities looking like this. And truly, it's been a testament to their resilience. But the impacts, they do linger.
Yeah, we had several structures that were damaged and destroyed by these ferocious floods. But we also have the potential wildfire impacts as a result of Helene. The dead timber, the dried vegetation has led to a growing fire threat across western North Carolina. The National Weather Service out of Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina, releasing what's called a wildland fire potential outlook. It's from October through January, and they're calling this a, quote, potentially busy dormant season in the region. Obviously, as we head toward winter, and that is when we turn things dormant. Let's bring in Trisha Palmer, joins us now. She's a warning coordination meteorologist at the aforementioned National Weather Service office in South Carolina. Trisha, good morning to you. So a year removed from Hurricane Helene, how has it changed? Notably, I guess, the timber. It's just sat there, a lot of it not removed, and now it's just becoming like a tinder box of sorts.
Exactly. I'm happy to be here. There were areas in North Carolina that had millions and millions of trees down. The Forest Service estimated 822,000 acres of trees down. That's larger than the state of Rhode Island. If you take the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, it's about 1.5 times the size of that area. And that's just in western North Carolina. That doesn't include eastern Georgia and upstate South Carolina, which saw massive tree fall as well. So since these trees came down during Helene, like you said, they've just been sitting there for the past year and slowly drying out. So what we're doing is we're watching the fuel loads with those trees to see what ends up happening with the fire weather season this year. And our partners at the National Interagency Fire Center have released those outlooks saying that this could be a very busy fire weather season.
Yeah, I think when you consider for South Carolina, we had about 24 tornadoes and the damage that those caused. And, you know, when you talk about the lead up to this moment, right, the atmospheric setup, would you say it was unusually dry? Do we have temperature playing a role? Was it above average? Has there been several little factors along the way that have really led to an even greater risk given all the debris there?
Yes, actually, depending on which state you're in, we're starting to see a little bit more drought creep into South Carolina. They're going to be evaluating that today with our drought teams and releasing a new drought outlook on Thursday. North Carolina is in slightly better shape. We have a higher soil moisture content. Our stream flows are doing pretty well right now due to a very wet August that we had. But without additional rain going into the fall is typically a busy fire weather season anyway. It's typical to see a little bit of drought in the fall outside of any tropical storms. Fall is typically our driest season anyway. So you put all of that together with what we've had a very dry October so far, and things are starting to look a little bit more concerning.
So, Trisha, you being the WCM at the office, what is the biggest message that you're trying to drive? Because not only do we have residents there, y'all have tourists too, right? They're going to start to come into droves, and while 1 month was maybe particularly wet, yeah, things can dry out real quick, especially this time of year as dew points drop. So what is that message that you guys are trying to send out? Because I understand it's not just October. I mean, we were looking at that fire outlook, or at least the threats, and this will persist into the new year.
Absolutely, indeed. So one of the things that we're really trying to get the message out about now is just your standard fire prevention, fire safety. So if you're outside grilling, make sure you do it over concrete or gravel. Right now is not really a good time to start big bonfires and things like that. So just do regular fire safety activities. If you have chains hanging from your vehicle, try to make sure those are tied up. Don't throw cigarette butts out the window. Little things like that, because all it takes is one spark to start a problem. Because as it dries, our fine fuels, which is like the grasses and the leaf litter, that's just going to continue to increase with more leaves down, and they'll continue to dry out. And the problem is that the heavier fuels, such as the trees down from Helene, they weren't quite dry this spring, and we had a really bad fire season this spring. So now that they've had another 6 months to dry out, that's going to be our big concern, that we could have a small wildfire starting to grow bigger and become a big wildfire. And with all these trees down, access, that's a problem for our wildland firefighters. So please just stay smart with fire safety.
No, it's a great warning and a great heads up. I was trying to remember when we were monitoring the fires. And yeah, that was earlier in the spring. And we had multiple, and I believe Trisha, the National Guard was called in to help aid in some of the fires. So the debris has been a problem, and it'll continue to be a problem until we can hopefully get an abundant rainfall out of the winter and into the next spring season. So great messaging, and hopefully everyone can play it safe. National Weather Service Warning Coordination Meteorologist Trisha Palmer, thank you for joining us here on Weather Command this morning.
Thank you.